Hello, and welcome to W.A.T. News. It is June 15th, 2025, your daily AI-powered roundup of today's most relevant headlines. Faster, smarter, and always on point.
W.A.T. News.
In cybersecurity news, security researchers have uncovered a sophisticated malware campaign exploiting Discord's invite link feature. Attackers are hijacking expired or deleted vanity invites previously trusted by users to redirect them into fake servers hosting malicious bots. Once inside, users are tricked into executing PowerShell commands that install information-stealing malware capable of extracting cryptocurrency wallet credentials, browser data, and gaming account information. Discord has since removed the malicious bot used in the scheme. The malware campaign also used trusted public tools such as Pastebin and GitHub to avoid detection by antivirus filters. This case highlights the risks of engaging with old or unofficial Discord links and reinforces the need for vigilance when prompted for unexpected verification. Nearly 18% of Ukraine's IPv4 address space has been sold or leased to proxy services since the start of the war in 2022. These IP addresses, once tied to Ukrainian internet providers, are now predominantly routed through Western infrastructure. This shift has raised alarm among cybersecurity experts, who warn that the new routing makes it easier for malicious actors to mask their location and evade detection. The sales reflect the financial pressure on Ukrainian ISPs and a broader lack of oversight in the resale of IP address blocks. With demand for anonymous browsing and evasion tools growing globally, experts are calling for regulatory reforms to prevent misuse of reallocated IP space. Congress and 27 state attorneys general are intensifying scrutiny of 23andMe's handling of genetic data amid its ongoing bankruptcy proceedings. Lawmakers are demanding that any buyer of the company's assets, including its genetic database, commit to honoring user privacy choices and consent withdrawals. A nonprofit linked to the company's founder has submitted a $305 million bid, surpassing a competing offer from a pharmaceutical company. Since March, approximately 1,900,000 users have requested that their genetic data be deleted. Legislators have raised concerns about how this data might be treated if the company's assets are transferred, underscoring broader anxieties about genetic privacy and data ethics in corporate acquisitions. In technology news, viral claims suggest certain cooling blankets stay cool all night, but Wired explains most only feel cooler because they are more breathable, not due to actual heat-absorbing properties. True cooling blankets exist, but they require special phase change materials that absorb heat through melting, which standard fabrics lack. The majority of products marketed as cooling are simply lightweight and breathable. Users seeking real cooling should look for blankets labeled with phase change materials. W.A.T. News verified that while many cooling blankets offer slight comfort benefits, actual thermal regulation depends on advanced materials, not marketing buzz. Consumers reporting cooler sleep may be experiencing placebo effects or mild breathability improvements, not substantive temperature control. The Neubauer Seneca is a meticulously handcrafted custom capacitive keyboard, debuting with a striking price of $3,600. Built in Los Angeles with over 600 bespoke parts, including plasma oxide aluminum chassis and in-house capacitive switches, the Seneca delivers a distinctive typing feel described as raindrop soft and extremely smooth. Designed for elite collectors, its all-analog design omits wireless connectivity and lighting to focus on tactile and acoustic excellence. W.A.T. News verified that only a small niche of enthusiastic typists would invest in such a premium ergonomic experience. At the June 9, 2025 WWDC keynote, Apple rolled out OS updates: iOS 26, iPadOS 26, macOS Tahoe, watchOS 26, and visionOS 26. All unified under a liquid glass design featuring transparency and depth. Apple introduced on-device AI frameworks under Apple Intelligence, enabling live translation in Messages and FaceTime, enhanced visual intelligence, emoji generating, Genmoji, and workout coaching via the watch, all with a strong emphasis on privacy. The company also highlighted hardware enhancements: a redesigned MacBook Air, mini LED iPad Pro, and HomeKit integrations, along with a new Games app and multitasking tools for iPad. WAT News verified that these updates arrive in public beta this July, with full releases expected in autumn. While AI features were expanded, Apple chose to integrate rather than center its presentation around artificial intelligence this year. In politics news, recent controversies on social media arise from criticism of California Democrats, who opposed the estimated $480 million spent on National Guard deployment and security after the Capitol riots. Critics noted these same politicians had supported immigration policies costing an estimated $25 billion annually. WAT News verified that the $480 million figure corresponds to the cost of post-riot security. The comparison to broader immigration spending highlights tensions in public discourse over government priorities and taxpayer burdens. The story underscores ongoing debates about consistency and transparency in fiscal policy. California Governor Gavin Newsom publicly challenged President Trump's approaches to immigration and climate policy, stating that federal inaction on climate change worsens wildfire and drought threats in California. He further criticized the administration's immigration framework for its damaging impact on immigrant communities. WAT News verified that Newsom affirmed California would pursue its own climate protections regardless of federal policy. His remarks signal a deliberate shift toward independent state governance on these issues. The segment reflects California's stance on upholding environmental and social policies amid federal-state tensions. On June 14th, a military parade honoring the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary took place in Washington, D.C., while the nationwide No Kings protest movement occurred concurrently. WAT News verified that both events were examined in a Sunday evening CNN special featuring interviews with two analysts. The segment explored how one event celebrated military heritage, while the other embodied public dissent over contemporary leadership. This juxtaposition highlights how Americans are engaging with both institutional tradition and calls for democratic accountability. The coverage encapsulates a moment of national reflection and ideological contrast. In business news, recent posts allege California Democrats are criticizing the $480 million spent on the Capitol response to January 6th, while supporting undocumented immigration policies, costing $25 billion annually. WAT News verified that the Capitol expenditure refers to National Guard and security costs tied to that event. However, the claim that Democrats support $25 billion in undocumented immigration costs is misleading. No single budget line or legislative approval for that exact figure was identified. California's immigration spending spans multiple programs and fiscal years, but the specific dollar figure lacks substantiation. This discrepancy illustrates how social media can conflate distinct fiscal items to suggest contradictory political positions. The situation spotlights how numeric claims can mislead without clear sourcing or context. California Governor Gavin Newsom has criticized President Trump's immigration enforcement and climate policies. WAT News verified that he called the administration's immigration actions draconian and said the federal stance on climate is out of touch with California's wildfire and drought realities. Newsom pledged that California would continue its own emissions reductions and clean energy investments, regardless of federal policy. He highlighted that these state initiatives reflect both economic opportunity and public safety priorities for California households. No inaccurate claims were found in Newsom's statements. They align with actions taken by California regulators and legislators. On Saturday, a military parade in Washington, D.C., marking the U.S. Army's birthday, was held while No Kings protests occurred nationwide. WAT News verified through eyewitness reports that the two events unfolded simultaneously, reflecting sharply different public sentiments on the Trump administration's use of federal authority. The protest movement brought people together to oppose perceived authoritarianism. While the parade highlighted patriotic pride in the military, commentary by CNN journalists, streamed via public platforms, provided balanced reflection on both events. No evidence was found to conflate or exaggerate either side. This moment underscores the country's deep division in public events. In entertainment news, pop superstar Taylor Swift and NFL star Travis Kelce attended Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final on June 12th with former players including Jason Taylor. They were caught on camera reacting during Edmonton's historic 5-4 overtime win, marking the first comeback from a 3-goal deficit in a final game in 106 years. The pair's presence drew widespread media attention, with broadcasters momentarily shifting focus from the game action. W.A.T. News verified that their appearance had no impact on gameplay. This remains a sports culture moment rather than a contested event. The focus here is on cultural significance and fan engagement, not competitive commentary. Hop Sugar has highlighted 20 anticipated books by Black authors scheduled for release this year, spanning genres such as fiction, memoir, and essays. Selections include The Great Mrs. Elias by Barbara Chase Raboud, Black Love Matters, edited by Jessica P. Harris, and The Daughter-in-Law by T.J. Greer, with additional spotlighted titles like The Nina Simone Chronicles by Shea Youngblood and Wildcat by Amelia Morris. WAT News confirmed through publisher announcements and author promotions that the list accurately represents forthcoming works. The selection underscores a commitment to broadening literary representation without overstating claims. Readers are encouraged to explore the full list available via Pop Sugar's editorial platforms. Actor Taylor John Smith is set to lead Warfare, an Italian production filmed in Taormina and set during World War II, where he portrays an American soldier entangled in a Sicilian romance. He will co-star alongside Claudia Guarini and Massimo Ghini under the direction of Simone Spada, marking the first U.S.-Italian co-production from Taormina's newly launched film and TV hub. Production is scheduled to begin in April 2025. WAT News verified casting and location details via Variety and production documentation, confirming them as accurate. This collaboration reflects expanding cross-border partnerships and the rising global profile of Italian filmmaking. In world news, Iran launched a second round of missile strikes on Israel the night of June 15, 2025. Following Israeli attacks on sites Iran claims included civilian and energy infrastructure. In a formal statement, Iran's foreign ministry declared the missile launches an act of self-defense, citing retaliation for what it described as aggression against its nuclear program. Israeli officials, however, maintain that their initial strikes were aimed at preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons. While no official casualty figures were confirmed in this report, emergency alerts were activated in several Israeli cities. The international community has expressed concern over the rising escalation between the two nations. No verified evidence suggests either party has formally declared war, but the tit-for-tat strikes have raised regional tensions. The legality of the strikes under international law remains contested, pending further global diplomatic response. A newly published genetic study has traced the prehistoric migration of early humans from Asia into the Americas, offering insights into the ancestral lineage of many indigenous groups. The research found that early settlers split into isolated groups after arrival, adapting to a variety of environmental conditions over thousands of years. These adaptations resulted in distinct genetic markers that persist in modern indigenous populations across both continents. The study compared minor DNA variations in current indigenous communities with ancient genomic data extracted from early human remains. Scientists concluded that environmental isolation played a critical role in shaping unique population structures. The findings offer scientifically verified clarity about the diversity and resilience of indigenous American ancestry. Researchers emphasized the study's significance for cultural and historical understanding, particularly for communities underrepresented in past genetic research. On June 15, 2025, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs defeated the South Sydney Rabbitohs 24-18 in a National Rugby League match at Accor Stadium. The game was briefly halted by a 29-minute weather delay due to lightning, one of the few interruptions of its kind in recent seasons. The Bulldogs took an early lead, scoring 3 tries in the first half before South Sydney mounted a late comeback attempt. Despite scoring multiple tries in the closing minutes, the Rabbitohs fell short after a final penalty by Bulldogs halfback Toby Sexton sealed the result. This marks the Bulldogs' first season sweep over South Sydney since the year 2011. Both teams remain in close contention for postseason standings as the NRL season continues. W.A.T. News verified the scoring, weather delay, and outcome through official match records and broadcasts. That's your full briefing for today from W.A.T. News. Here's a quick recap of today's top stories. Cyber threats, digital privacy, and evolving AI continue to shape the tech landscape, with Discord malware campaigns, Ukrainian IP rerouting, and the sale of 23andMe data drawing global concern. Political divisions deepen as California officials face criticism over budget priorities, state-led policy clashes with federal authority, and symbolic public events reflect ideological rifts. Meanwhile, cultural milestones, from Apple's WWDC launch and elite tech collectibles to literary highlights, global film collaborations, and intensifying Middle East tensions, underscore a world balancing innovation, identity, and instability.
W.A.T. News.
If you found this briefing helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a headline. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and stay curious.